Today we're talking about my budget and my 7-step cash stuffing method. So I've been budgeting for over 12 years, and this is really how we've been able to achieve a lot of our financial goals and pay off, I think, over $80,000 of debt now. So it's really important to us to have a strong budgeting method, and that's what I'm going to go over today. So I personally just use a basic Excel spreadsheet. It really works for me. I did try Quick and Simplify, which is an online budgeting tool. I personally gave it 3 months, and it just was not as good as my basic Excel spreadsheet. I don't know. I guess I'm just really simple. Um, and then I know I mentioned in my last video about cash stuffing, and that has really helped Sean and I for over a year and a half. Just not overspend and actually spend with intention. So I'm going to go over what I do with my cash stuffing. I know when I first started, I searched the internet for how people actually do it, because I know a lot of people have their own processes with cash stuffing. So I didn't really find many videos, and I told myself if I ever start a YouTube channel that I would explain my process and hopefully it would help someone. So that's what I'm going to go over today. I personally cash stuff twice a month. I used to do it just once in the beginning of the month, but I realized that I was spending a lot of that money in the beginning of the month, and then there really wouldn't be much left at the end of the month. So I decided 2 times a month would be more beneficial for me, and it's really been working. As far as my budgeting steps, they are budget review, envelope prep, bank withdraw, cash stuffing, online transaction sheet, unstuffing, bank deposit. I am going to be going through these one by one in a little bit more detail. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is my budget. It's really simple. I really like to keep things very minimal on my budget, and less is better in my opinion. So I just use a simple Excel spreadsheet. Right now I have February budget pulled up just because my January looks a little crazy right now. So as you can see, I split my expenses up from variable expenses to fixed expenses, and I break down the cost and the due date in each category. So over here on the right, I do have a notes just to track anything such as pending checks or unusual expenses, such as my husband has a lot of horse expenses. We have 5 horses. So anything that's strange with them, that's unusual, I'll just put it over here just as a reminder of things coming up that I have to consider in my budget. Next down here is where I record our income. I have the date, the 11th, 25th, 12th, and 26th, just the days that we get paid in February. Sean is a salaried employee, and I am an hourly employee. So we don't necessarily get paid on the same day. And so as far as my expenses, so I will come in here the day before we get paid, and I pretty much know how much we are going to get paid, and every dollar has a job in my budget. So right now, any leftover cash goes to our brokerage account of $850. However, this is kind of a flexible amount, because if we have anything that needs to be covered that pops up during the month, then we take it from here. But we realistically really like to just put all of that $850 in our brokerage account to achieve our FIRE goal. So next we have our cash envelope money. This never changes. It's always that amount, because we want to stay consistent again on our expenses. We don't want to go over. So electric, I always account for the highest amount our bill can be, which is usually $160. It really doesn't go over that. So I just put $160 until I actually get the bill, and then I put the exact amount in there. Food, $600, gas, $300, because Sean drives an hour and a half one way to work. So It is a lot of gas each month. $935 twice a month, roughly, for a nanny. It just depends on how often she comes. Sometimes she has an appointment and can't make it, or sometimes Sean's off and he'll watch Brady. Water bills usually $60. Apple $5 just for extra storage. We put $50 in an Upma account for Brady. And then, as you can see, I'm just going through these. Car insurance is pretty standard. These are all fixed. We always have $200 going into a car savings. We have a brokerage account for this, and we are investing for our next car down payment because we know that our Toyota is probably not going to last very long, but you never know. Coterie subscription, that's just our diapers that we get for Brady, and we get that once a month. It includes diapers and wipes for the month. My Roth IRA, and then down here is Sean's Roth IRA. We both max that out each. We don't max it out. We put enough money in it each month to max it out at the end of the year. We save $380 for our home insurance and our house taxes. Internet is always $120, but I do get reimbursed about $33 each month because I work from home, and my company gives me a little extra for my internet usage. Trash is $50. However, that is going to change to, I believe, $25 because we switched trash companies to kind of optimize our savings. We're always constantly looking for savings in our budget. Next is our truck payment, and I know that looks insane, $928, but we actually refinanced our truck this month. We were paying $1,200, and we refinanced it with a credit union that's pretty local to this area, and they gave us a great interest rate, so we switched, and now it's only $928. We probably aren't going to be paying that off early because it is such a low interest rate, and we could make more in the stock market. I know I'm going through this really fast, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I will answer them. So like I said, before I go and cash stuff or go to the bank, I will look at my budget and see if anything needs to be tweaked, if every dollar is accounted for in our budget. And yeah, that's my budget, and I hope you enjoyed this explanation. So step 2 is coming into my Excel spreadsheet for envelope prep. So I, again, keep this super simple. I break it up into a week 1 and then week 3 because I cash stuff twice a month. I have it broken up into short-term and long-term sinking funds. I have the amount that I usually put in each envelope, and by envelope prep, what I mean is I will come in here and I will see if I need to change any of these amounts. So for example, maybe I am going to be going and doing some planting for gardening season. I'll come in here and maybe change this to $100, and then maybe 0 for gifts. So I will just kind of adjust to stay in that $2,500 limit that we have put on our envelopes. So yeah, that's kind of the prep that I do. I also go in here and I will mark down my denominations as far as what I want when I get to the bank. So for example, Beauty, maybe I'll want just a 20, and then Brady, he usually gets a 20 and a 10, and Chickens, 20, Date Night, 20 and 5. So I just go through this and I mark what denomination I want. And I mean, it's pretty simple. And then if you come down here it says FF, that means it's fully funded. So we had a goal of $1,000 in our vet fund because we have a lot of animals. And so that is fully funded. If you come over here, these are our long-term sinking fund goals. Our car maintenance, $1,000, Christmas, $350, cow, pig, that's just, we get a half a cow and a quarter pig usually 1 to 2 times a year. And then the Exterminator, Halloween, and Thanksgiving. So I actually just added these holiday sinking funds because I had a baby and I feel like I really want to make his holidays really special. So I did a lot for a little bit more money in our budget for that. Yeah, so if you have any questions, again, please put them in the comments and I will get them answered for you. Step 3 is bank withdraw. After I have all my envelopes prepped, I get a sticky note and just write down all my denominations. And usually I put the total on there as well. I didn't in this video, but that's usually what I do. And then I go to the bank and withdraw my money. Step 4 is cash stuffing. So in my opinion, this is the best part of this system. So I just wake up early, usually the day after I go to the bank, and I get up early because I really like to wake up before my son and my husband, and I will cash stuff my envelopes. I also wanted to show you that when I first started out, I used basic white envelopes. I used these up until last November when I did upgrade my setup, but you really don't need anything fancy to start out with, and I highly suggest you just use basic envelopes until you see if you really like this method. Step 5 is online transaction sheets. So I live in a tiny town in Texas and we really don't have many stores in our town. So I do a lot of online shopping and I really try my hardest to spend with my cash, but that just doesn't always happen. And I like specific things at specific stores, and who doesn't like online shopping? So what I do when I have a transaction online is I'll come into this simple spreadsheet, yet again, super simple. This is how I set it up. So February online spending, this is all my transactions that I have during the month. So take for example, maybe on February 1st, I order on Amazon a toothbrush, and it comes from our self-care envelope, and it was, I don't know, $5.20. So now I know that I spent that money and it's recorded, and once I unstuff that money from my envelope, I'll go in here and I'll highlight this amount in this gray color just so I know that it's accounted for in my cash bag. So if you see over here, I do not stuff for gas or groceries. So I kind of break that up into its own little area on my online transaction sheet. And I also really like to keep track of my groceries because Sean and I tend to overspend in our groceries, and we're really trying to get better at it. Especially when we go to Costco, it's just like ridiculous. I don't know how you walk out of there without spending like $500. Okay, so then over here on our February other spending, this is mainly, I should really call it the like horse spending, because this is where Sean typically puts all of his horse transactions. He has a set of money not in our account for this. It's basically cash, and he'll just give it to me so he can pay off his credit card when he has a transaction for his horses. So it's pretty simple. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Step 6 is unstuffing. So any online transaction that I make, I go ahead and take that money out of the envelope. So in my example, I bought a toothbrush on Amazon for $5.20. So I'm going to be taking out $5 from my self-care envelope. And what I do is I put that in my cash bag so that is ready for me to deposit back into the bank and pay my credit card bill. Step 7 is bank deposit. So at the end of the month, after I've accounted for all my online transactions in my cash bag, I will take all the money out of my cash bag, make sure it's all straightened, and then I will take it to the bank and deposit it into my account. Then I will go ahead and pay my credit card bill and my husband's. So I hope you found some value in my explanation of my process. I know it really helps us, like I said, spend a little bit more intentional. You actually have the money in your hands, so it's very hard to overspend. If you are just getting started, just my advice, start out with a simple, basic Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you're interested in cash stuffing, just start with some basic white envelopes and see how you like it. You may hate it, but you may love it. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this video or found any value, I would really appreciate a like. And if you want to see future videos, you can always subscribe to my channel. Next video, I'm going to be doing an actual cash stuffing, and I'm going to be talking more about my categories. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you.